Okay, we're opening our school committee meeting, and I'd like to know if anybody is recording tonight other than cable. They're not being, now can we do the pledge of allegiance to the flag, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Do you have any special recognitions? No. Okay, do we have any citizens' concerns or comments? No. Can I have a motion for the regular session minutes of October 21st, 2013?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Student representative report from Kyle.
Thank you very much. So,
Thank
a lot has happened in the past 2 weeks at Auburn High School. Last Saturday, the SATs, Auburn High School hosted the SATs, and I was one of the students that participated in taking them. A nice long day on a Saturday morning. The National Honor Society has recently started collecting items to make care packages to send over for the soldiers overseas, and it's anything from books to a toothbrush and all in between. One student, a senior at Auburn High School, recently won a $1,000 scholarship from WPI when he competed in a math competition. He got the highest score, which was impressive. And finally, district play has started for the fall sports teams, and some have gone well, and some have gone all right. But it's still a great season. All the teams made districts for fall sports, and I believe field hockey is playing right now in the district semifinals against Quabog. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we'll move it to the superintendent report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The first item we have tonight is a digital learning team update report for you. If you'll recall, last spring, the school committee had established a one-to-one digital learning team. We've had ongoing this school year an 8th grade pilot for iPads, but we also wanted to look more systemically. So you had put in charge of this Mr. Bouvier, Dr. Lozay, and Mr. Campbell. So I'm going to turn it over with your permission to Mr. Bouvier, and with thanks to those members in the audience tonight who are part of the digital learning team, as well as those who couldn't be here tonight, but who participated to the findings and the recommendation that you'll hear.
I'm gonna get the lights.
I think so, yeah, thanks.
Just that one?
Good.
Thanks. Sure. No problem.
Okay, good evening. I'm here tonight to report on the findings of the digital learning team. As you remember, back in January, I was here and made a presentation touting the benefits of moving towards a one-to-one computing environment for the students of Auburn. We put together a team to explore that option. We drafted a report, which I believe all of you received last week, and we put together this presentation to hopefully gather your support for that. Okay. Do not confine your children to your own learning, for they were born at a different time. It's an ancient Chinese proverb, but it really works well for what we're discussing. All of us went through public schools. We were all taught a certain way. Our children are not us. The way that they learn, the environment that they're brought up in, has changed dramatically, even in the past 10 years, let alone from the time we went to school. And you can see through these two pictures a traditional type classroom, rows and desks, and everybody with pens and papers all in a line. And over on the right, what we're looking for and what you see more often now, a collaborative environment where kids are sharing information and working together. And our students are much different than we ever were. They're more mobile than even a generation before. Everything that they want is at their fingertips, in their pocket, and available to them at any time. They're much more social than I think we ever were, and I hear a lot of people saying that they're less social, and I take And I would argue that point that they're much more social on a different level than we've ever seen before. They may not be writing letters or using the phone like we did, but they're texting more and more people, communicating through social media. Everything that they do now, the games they play, has this social component been built into it where they are communicating with people across the world. Some people they don't even know, and they're able to work together and solve problems that way. And they're more collaborative. Like I just said, they can work together and complete missions on their games or work together in Facebook or a variety of different sources. This is our student body right now, mobile, social, collaborative. They expect things to be a little bit different. They expect quick access to information. Everything is at their fingertips. The entirety of the world's information is a couple of clicks away. The entirety of the world's art can be viewed from the internet. Music, literature, it's all right there and available to them. They want immediate feedback. They don't want to wait to find out if they did something right or wrong. And you can stop me if I'm wrong here. But they want to know right away. Is it right? Is it wrong? And move past it and deal with it. Social interactions. They want the social component to everything that they do. They demand it. It's in their games. It's on their devices. Everything they do has this thread running through it nowadays. Opportunities to collaborate and access to technology. All things our kids are expecting. And their employers are expecting a whole other set of technology and life skills rather than the ones we were brought up with. Learning and innovation skills. All of these right here. This is what employers are telling us that they want to see from our students. Information, media, and technology skills. Information literacy is vastly important. The ability to make sense of all that information at their fingertips and communicate it clearly. And life and career skills. I think some of these are some of the most important skills that we can teach our kids. The ability to be flexible and adapt to differences. Software changes all the time. The ability to not get flustered, to find your way around it, to take the initiative, be self-directed. These are lifelong skills that would serve everybody well. And towards that, we put together the digital learning team. And it was put together in January of 2013, like I said. We formed the committee with a variety of representation. We had some parents, some administrators, teachers involved. We had a student, but he never quite made it to a meeting, so we tried. We met a bunch of times in the spring. We worked on mostly background and vision, getting an understanding of where Auburn was and where we wanted to go. Over the summer, we explored the research and the models of one-to-one that exist, and in the fall, we formalized our recommendations, which you have in front of you. Some of the research we looked at, one of the most important studies that we did look at was the Berkshire Wireless Collaborative out of Massachusetts. And their results were really positive with their one-to-one environment. They saw growth on MCAS testing. 71% of teachers reported the quality of student work increased. Student writing got longer and better. And students were able to grasp difficult curricular concepts and produce better-looking products versus their peers that were not in programs that were one-to-one. And I think it's natural that we would see increased student engagement and motivation when giving the student a digital device in school. On top of that, we looked at Maine. Maine has had a one-to-one initiative in their middle schools for over 10 years now. And they have lots of research to support the benefits of one-to-one. Writing scores improved. They saw significant progress for economically disadvantaged kids. And I think that's a big piece. Those students that may not have been able to afford the devices in the past, you give them the devices and they were catching up and surpassing regular students. Higher number of students meeting state proficiency standards and higher math test scores. There's tons of research that supports all of this. You can find consistent threads all the way through it. We were able to put together some learning goals that are listed here. achieve at higher levels of learning through personalized education, equal access to technology. I think as you read these are not just technology learning goals or one-to-one learning goals. They are just academic learning goals, things we strive to do, but we believe we'll be able to do better through the use of a one-to-one program. Extend learning beyond the school day and classroom, provide authentic learning experiences, be able to give them projects that they feel have value. Increase student engagement and motivation, all the 21st century skills that we've been talking about for years, and that businesses are telling us that they want in their students, are a lot easier to grasp with a digital device, and to ensure our students become productive global citizens, because they're not just competing against each other or local towns anymore, they're competing against students from across the world. The college slots that they're applying for are also being applied for by students in China and Korea and countries all across the world. So they have to be a lot more competitive. As we went through the process, we looked at two basic models of one-to-one computing. First being bring your own technology. This is the idea that students bring the devices that they have at home to school and utilize those as part of the classroom. The second being district-provided devices. The district provides a device to all students. They all have the same device. We will put together this chart to look at the two models. The top being district-provided, the bottom being BYOD. It became pretty clear as we worked it out that we felt that a district-provided model was going to be more appropriate for the students of Auburn. And I think if calling out a few of the pieces that were very, very important to us, equity is always important to us in Auburn. We're always striving to maintain equity across our schools or grade levels or everything that we do. And we felt that in a bring-your-own-device situation, there might be inequity issues that occur. One student may not have the same caliber of device as another, might not have the same capabilities, the same amount of processing power, what have you. So there was that issue where there would be haves and have-nots, and that was not something we were prepared to move forward with. Also, the idea that we're really looking at something that's going to be park-ready, we don't want to go down that road again. We want whatever we're purchasing and providing to be able to be used on the park assessment. And student-owned devices would not qualify for that. Someone's cell phone or Kindle Fire, those are not going to be, they would be acceptable BYOD devices, but not acceptable park devices. And I think also that something that became very clear is that we want our teachers to understand what's sitting in front of them. So if 25 students are bringing in 18 different devices, it makes it very difficult for the teacher to plan and provide material, not knowing what the capabilities of the devices before them are. Versus if we're providing a single device with the same capabilities to everybody, the teacher knows exactly what those devices are capable of and can plan accordingly. There's many other reasons, positive and negative here. I mean, obviously the big positive for BYOD is cost, right? I mean, we're talking about district provided. It's going to be very expensive versus having students bring in what they have in their pockets. Once we made the decision that we wanted to go forward with district-provided devices, we then looked at what type of device are we going to move forward with. So we looked at we compared laptops, a variety of tablets, iPods, and Chromebooks and netbooks. Again, here's a chart we put together when we were looking at the devices. We paid special attention to battery life. We wanted something that we knew was going to last throughout the day. We thought it would be detrimental to have the kid go charge his device if in the middle of class or in the middle of the day. We looked at the classroom applications, exactly what can they do within a classroom with the particular device. Size was important to us. We didn't want anything too heavy, anything too bulky if they were going to be carrying it back and forth through classes and home. And again, park compliance was vital. We had to have something that was going to be park compliant. And that took it took iPods out. Some of the netbooks automatically dropped off the table. And we were able to funnel ourselves down to really believing the tablets were the best device for us. And then furthermore, that we really did believe in the iPads. And we would move forward with the iPads for some of these reasons and many more, and there's more in your report, but truly they are very easy to use. The battery will last several days, not just the length of the school day. It is park compliant with the addition of a Bluetooth keyboard. The support is relatively easy. There's many successful one-to-one models, several very close to us, such as Shrewsbury and Grafton. The accessibility features are unparalleled, really. The ability to modify the device to meet students' diverse needs is amazing in the iPad. And it's lightweight and easy to carry. Moving forward, we looked at how we're going to assess the program, combination of ways that we would assess the value of the program once we put it in place, including surveying students, teachers, and parents, walkthroughs that occur as part of the regular evaluation system, and looking at our student and school data. How are their attendance and discipline? How's that data changing? And also, how's their achievement on tests and other measures being affected? Management of the devices becomes a little tricky when you start deploying mobile devices. We have put in place already a mobile device management system to monitor and manage these devices, and also add applications wirelessly. So it does give us control over these devices while they're on our network, and the ability to turn off settings or features as we need to, and control the devices. The internal GPS is amazing and will allow us to track missing devices, and I know that Auburn Police Department has used it in several other cases to be able to walk right to the door of somebody and say, we know the iPhone's in your room. We can see it here on this map. And then the off-site content filtering, I think, is a very big thing. We are required through the Child Internet Protection Act to filter all devices that we purchase, whether they're on-site or off-site, which is a little tricky. So we still have to provide content filtering to these devices, even if they're in someone's home on their own network. So we put that in place in order to move forward with the 8th grade pilot. So much of this is already in place. We feel we're in a pretty good spot to be able to manage the devices. Ownership always comes up. We envision these as being district-owned devices. There are models out there that require the parents to purchase portions or all of the device, but that is not a model that we've looked to move forward with at this point. We would have them returned at the end of the year, withdrawal from school, and really we look at them like a textbook. So we provide students with a large amount of textbooks, which are very valuable actually, probably as valuable as an iPad if you stack them all up together, and we send those home. And we expect that they're returned in a very similar condition that as they were given to the student, and we expect the same thing with the iPad, that parents are going to assume some accountability for the way that the iPads are handled and any damage or loss that occurs. And providing optional insurance for parents is a way that we can help mitigate that. A lot of districts do that. The plans are very, very cost effective, like $40 for the year, and then you're covered for as much damage or loss as occurs. So we don't want to put the parents in a situation where they have to replace a $500 device. We want to give them an option to help mitigate those occurrences. So that brings us to our recommendations. 2013, 2014, we are currently implementing the 8th grade iPad pilot program at the middle school. I know, I think it was 2 weeks ago, or a little longer, you saw Mr. Gagnon and one of his teachers here to present how that is going, and it's been successful so far. The iPads have just moved through their first rotation with the math teachers into the social studies department. We want to begin to provide iPads for our 7th grade teachers, much like we provided them for our 8th grade teachers last year to get them comfortable, and also our 9th grade teachers. And this is in preparation for what we're going to recommend the following year. we're going to continue to secure professional development for the 7th and 9th grade teachers with their iPads, and also provide the support to our current 8th grade pilot as they continue to move through the process of integrating the one-to-one iPads. Come on. It's not moving on me now. Hold on one second. Get out of here. All right. I lost it.
You lost it. The time limit was up.
Yeah, huh? Let's see if it comes back to me in a second. I don't want to restart. 2014, 2015, you have the recommendations in your packet. We want to provide the iPads to all 6th grade teachers, and we're going to secure a 3-year lease to provide iPads for all students in 8th grade and 9th grade. We also want to initiate the 7th grade program using the same model that we put in place at the 8th grade and provide additional PD to all teachers. So this is a big year, securing the lease for what we figure is roughly 375 iPads for 8th and 9th grade. That is the first year of that lease is something that we're figuring into our current year budget already. And if we go forward with this tonight, it's something that we'll have in there. Otherwise, we'll take it out. Hopefully we won't. Okay, after 2014, we go to the 2015-2016 school year. I'm back up, I think. 2015-2016, we want to initiate the 6th grade program. Full one-to-one implementation at the New Auburn Middle School. As part of the middle school building process, it was sort of always in the plans that we would move towards a one-to-one at that time. We would like to expand the implementation at AHS to include the grade 10 students, fully understanding that our current 8th grade students would move to 9th grade next year, and then the year after that, 10th grade, that we have to continue to move the program forward with them. We can't teach them to learn on an iPad only to pull that away from them at a later grade level. And then explore options for implementing one-to-one program at our intermediate schools we feel is important as well. We're not just looking to move this up. We want to look at moving from both directions in the middle school, and there are schools all across the Commonwealth that are implementing one-to-one at grade levels as low as kindergarten. So it's something that we really intend to continue to push in both directions. Let's see if I can get this. There we go. Okay, and in conclusion, the DLT believes that one-to-one is the right direction for Auburn, and that truly if we want our students to compete with some of their peers as close as Shrewsbury, Grafton, and Uxbridge, who have these opportunities, we also have to provide them for our students. And we also believe that one-to-one will help them gain the skills that they're going to need and when they move past us, whether it be college or the workforce. And I'd like to thank you for your support, and I'm happy to answer any questions, because I'm sure you have many.
Anybody have any questions?
I have a whole list.
Go ahead.
First of all, thank you, Mr. Bouvier, for the presentation. And the questions I'm asking is just because I just want to know more. I firmly
Sure.
believe and support what has been presented. But I do have a few questions. So, for instance, iPads. Would iPads actually replace textbooks?
I think eventually. I'm not sure that, we've had a lot of discussions around this. Dr. Lezay and I have many discussions around this. And really what we're finding is that we think the online textbook is still in its infancy. That there are ways that we could do it, but the models that exist are currently expensive and probably wouldn't save us any money at this point. For instance, the Apple model for Apple textbooks through the iBook store requires that we buy maybe a $17 textbook for every student in 8th grade. However, when those students move to 9th grade, those textbooks have to move with them. We can't leave them behind for the incoming 8th graders. So that means we have to buy them for the whole 8th grade again. It's much like buying a book for your Kindle or Nook or whatever. When you buy it on your account, it stays on that account forever. So we can't transfer it to another student. There are many companies working on different models of textbooks. But we're not seeing anything at this point that tells us that we're ready to make that shift. But there are many different types. There are some simple online, web-based textbooks as well that are available that come as part of the series that we already have that they would be able to utilize on these types of devices.
Can I ask a question before you
Go
go
ahead.
on?
Sure, yeah.
That's good.
Yep.
So why would the iPad have to go with the student? Why couldn't you keep all the 5th grade iPads in 5th grade to keep those textbooks on it?
It's the way that we can't, and it gets tricky. We can't buy, it's all tied to the ID that buys it. We couldn't buy 500 books on like a middle school ID. Once you buy one, they don't let you buy it again. So all the kids would need to have their own Apple IDs, and you'd need to assign the books to the Apple IDs. The device is sort of independent of that equation. It's the Apple ID that's used, that's provided for that particular textbook. It gets a little tricky, but
Okay, so it's not that that the iPad is going from 5th grade to 6th grade and those 5th grade books are going with that iPad?
no.
It's, okay.
It's
that's
that
what I
they
thought you
they
mentioned
actually tie the book to the kid. So that when the kid moves, the book has to move with them. You can't.
first. It moves with the kid, not the iPad.
Right. Now
Okay.
that kid, when he's in college, is still going to have access to the same set of books that
I
he
see.
had in
Okay, that makes
Auburn.
sense. Okay,
Um,
it's tied to a person, not the
Right.
device. Okay, thanks. Sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay, because that leads me to even more questions. Okay, so if a student is, say, assigned an iPad in 6th grade, let's start there, do they retain that exact same device and take that all the way up through high school, or do they turn them in at the end of the year, and then when they go to 7th grade, they get a new one?
I'm
or-
envisioning turning them in at the end of the year at this point.
But their account would stay, right? So what Liz was saying, that if you get a new device, but your account
There's-
would stay the same?
there's
you would
many
log on,
ways
it would
to
have
do
those
it.
same books or
Yeah.
whatever? Okay.
Right now, we haven't been creating Apple accounts for the kids. And there are actually, Apple's still working out the way that you can do that, because technically you're not supposed to for a student under the age of 13. So that's the child protection laws. And it's
Okay.
the same way they're not supposed to have a Facebook account before they're 13.
Okay.
We have a lot of 13-year-old 5th graders.
Okay, so they may not replace textbooks, but could they replace handouts and worksheets?
Oh, absolutely,
Okay.
yes.
Let me tell you where I'm going with this.
Sure.
What I'm envisioning is that the community at large, there'll be people that'll say, what's the advantage of having the iPad? You're still gonna have your books, you're still gonna have your worksheets, you're still gonna, so that's why I'm asking these
Yeah.
questions, is to, you know, and I mean, I know what the advantages are, but if you can kind of show that, well, it'll replace handouts and worksheets and things like that, you know, so that's a benefit there. So that was one of the things I had there. Thank you. Now, for every iPad that you get, I would assume that there is setup that needs to take place on every machine. Is the IT department staffed to be able to handle that, or are they gonna need extra bodies to help maintain and set up these?
We think we're going to be able to handle it.
Okay.
We spent a lot of time putting in place the management system that helps to streamline that process.
Okay.
Much like we do with the majority of the computer purchases in district, we're able to essentially what we call image them. So we can take a snapshot and deploy that snapshot across the wire to the individual devices. It's not like you have to visit each device and set them up from scratch.
Okay.
We're able to do it through a management console, which streamlines the process.
All right, thank you. And then, in respects to the insurance that you were speaking about, So is the recommendation not that the district buy the insurance, but to ask parents to buy the insurance? Or has there been consideration of the district buying the insurance?
Well, through the chair, if you could maybe address the Apple Care piece of
Yeah,
it,
there-
and then the optional
there's-
additional.
There's two levels of insurance. The Apple Care, which is the warranty essentially that comes with the device, which covers a variety of, if it was a malfunction and, if something went wrong with it. However, if the kid dropped it in the pool, Apple Care's not going to cover that.
Right.
If it gets lost, Apple Care is not going to cover that. So we would be buying them with Apple Care to cover a variety of technical and things that could occur to the device itself. But in the instance that something catastrophic happens, such as loss or extreme breakage, that's when the insurance would kick in. It's a pretty common occurrence. Most districts don't require it, but highly recommend it.
And do we have an idea of what that insurance might cost? Or is it still?
Roughly $40 a year.
$40 a year, okay.
Can I ask a question pertaining to that, please?
Go ahead, Liz.
So the insurance is through, the $40 insurance would be through us or through Apple
It
itself?
would be done through another organization. One company that's commonly used around here is the Worth Group. It would be a private contract between the parent and that organization. It wouldn't come through us.
Okay.
Unless we decided we wanted it to. I mean, I suppose we could.
Go ahead.
Just, so as part of this, and it really started about a year ago, a team of them, including Mr. Bouvier, Mr. Campbell, Dr. Lizet, Mr. Gagnon as well, have gone and visited some other school districts, attended conferences to try and learn from others who have implemented this, things that have gone well and some areas where they maybe change a little bit. And this option here with for a family to bring on some private insurance seems to have gone especially well in communities that have implemented it. And some of the communities have asked parents to pay for a portion of the iPad itself over a 3-year period. Our feeling is, in terms of equity, that could create some students who could not have them. So we didn't go that route, so we thought that this cost, and obviously we need to work in some accommodations for some our students who qualify for a free reduced lunch that we need to pick up. I would anticipate those would be some recommendations that we'd have coming forward.
Okay. Would the insurance cover if the student claimed that the iPad was stolen?
Yes.
Okay, but that's only if they have the insurance.
Right.
So if the parent should call and say, somebody stole it, it's, oh, well, too bad, unless you have the insurance, you're still responsible for that.
And I think too, if you can just address that GPS issue as well.
Right.
Elliot?
And
Oh, they are,
There is a
they've got the
GPS
trackers
in
in
this,
them?
yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, the 400, now, when I was looking at the chart here, the iPad you're saying is $499.
Right.
I'm gonna get petty here. Does that include tax and software and batteries and all that
Well,
other
we don't-
stuff? Or is it kind of,
We don't pay tax.
$526
No.
or something like that?
The only thing not included in that is a case. And any apps that we decide that we need to purchase at that point. But we've primarily been working off of free apps at this point. There are the apps that actually we had purchased in the past. For instance, the app I'm using right now, Keynote, Pages and Numbers, and iMovie, which were all Apple Core apps, are now free with the new iPads. That was an announcement Apple made in September. So any iPad that's purchased from September on are going to get the only apps that we've really been buying up until this point. Other than that, we've been working off free. There's no taxes involved, and shipping is not involved. We don't need to. In the past, we've had to buy carts to hold them. That's not something that we have to use anymore if every student has their own.
And you said that the $499 does not include a case, is that what you
Cover.
said?
A
A
cover,
cover?
right.
Is that gonna be recommended that
Absolutely.
they have
Yep.
covers? So
Absolutely.
what does a cover run
The
roughly?
covers that I've been looking at right now have been about $25 to $29.
Okay.
Again, that's something that we've already figured into the budget if we were to move forward with it.
Okay.
One thing at a recent MassQ conference, Burlington Public Schools is very much out in front in Massachusetts on the iPad issue. And this gentleman, Pat Larkin, he recommended, they had actually talked to students, and students said, don't buy, now I don't know that we'll go this route, I'm just relaying a story. Don't buy the cases because students would want to buy their own individual case to personalize it, as opposed to everyone having a black case, for example. So we could certainly look into that, but we would absolutely want cases of a particular quality in case they were dropped in, you know, I mean, to help protect
Right.
them.
Okay, right. And then, I think you answered this other question, I just want to confirm, 375, there's only 375 students between the 7th and 9th grade?
The 8th and 9th grade?
I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
It's the number we're working with right now. That number's a fluid number. It goes up and down throughout the year, so.
Okay, and then you talked about 9th grade, so then, so this plan brings us to the 9th grade, but your intention is to continue that?
Correct.
Through 10th, 11th, and 12th eventually?
Mhm.
And then, like you said, going downward the
Right.
other way to the elementary schools? Okay. And then, is the lease something that, so instead of us buying them, we're leasing them so that if a new version comes out, that we can trade them in and get the
There-
upgrade at a better
Yeah.
price or
There are
something
ways you
like
can
that?
utilize the equity within the lease
Okay.
to do that. There are also, the lease that we are looking at includes a $1 buyout at the end, so it's not that you necessarily give them up at the end. You can purchase them for $1 and utilize them in another location, maybe elementary schools or wherever we would happen to need them.
Okay. Right. So, and I don't want to extend this any longer, I apologize.
Oh.
I'm just, what was the benefits of us going with the lease instead of just outright purchasing them? I mean, what were?
For
it was
cost
really the-
effectiveness.
Okay.
Cost effectiveness. You'll see in the budget that we'll present next week, it's about
It's like $71,000.
$71,000 a year for a 3-year lease for 375 of them, as opposed to purchasing them outright.
Which was
Okay.
210, I believe.
Yeah,
Okay,
the other
good.
piece is, you know, the built-in sustainability of it, that we're constantly updating them. And the price that we quoted in here, I mean, we would look at any iPad purchase that we've made, we've always gone with the most up-to-date version that's available
Right.
at the time. And as you see, they continue to upgrade them and things. So the leasing option allows us to more seamlessly upgrade them as the lease turns over.
Okay, great. All right, those are my questions. Thank you.
George, you have any
Sure.
questions? Go
I
ahead.
do, I have a couple. Nice presentation.
Thank you.
Thanks for your hard work. Will the instructors be able to monitor the iPads while they're being used in the classroom?
One of the apps that comes as part of our management feature, or our management system, does allow that to occur. And not only can they monitor, they can also lock the iPads to a single app. So they could say, you know, this is what you're doing right now, and the students would have no ability to go in and even move to Safari to go browse the web. So yes, that is something we're building into it.
So we could keep them locked down as often as we wanted to as far as games?
Oh,
things like that?
absolutely. We have, if you own an iPad or an iPhone and you go through the settings, we can pretty much turn on anything that we want or turn it off. Access to the iTunes store, the ability to get to Game Center. We can adjust the ratings that the students can access, whether they can only access G-rated material, PG-rated material, PG-13, R, whether that's movies or apps that are rated in that sense. We can control whether or not they have the ability to install or remove apps from the device.
Okay, that's good, because I don't want to be a party pooper, but I don't think they should be playing any games during the school hours, even on
I
their
don't
free
think any of
time.
us
I
do,
would-
George.
I don't
It's
think
just-
that's saying a party.
No.
No, I don't.
But I know how addicted they are to games.
Right.
So if
Correct.
they had that option, they would be playing them if they had to go hide in the bathroom to do it.
And I will tell you that is exactly one of the benefits to going district provided over BYOD, where we really couldn't control what their devices are
Right.
doing if it's a student-owned device. We would have some level of control, such as internet filtering and the ability to kind of block some things, but if they're bringing in their own devices from home, we don't have that same authority to affect the device like we can if we're providing the device.
My other concern would be, would these have recording ability? Would they be recording lessons which teachers might not want to be recorded during
We're
lessons?
encouraging teachers to record lessons nowadays. But yes, they do have cameras and microphones and video cameras, which are part of the reason why they're so successful in classrooms, the ability to utilize those tools for a variety of reasons, whether it's for students that need accommodations or as part of a project-based unit. But again, that's something that we have the ability to turn on or off through our management system as we deem appropriate.
Because I just feel like that could have contractual obligations and change in working conditions. Do you think that could be an issue, Dr. Brunel?
You know, I think that, I think it's wise for us to be proactive in thinking about any and all potential issues, but I also think too that this would be part of a digital literacy curriculum that we would institute with our students to teach them, you know, what is appropriate protocol with a recording device or whatnot. So I think that there'll be a learning curve for all of us. The safety in this is that through the IT department, they have the ability to turn those on and off as we deem appropriate. But I will tell you, we've started small with this at 8th grade. Our plan is to move to the 9th grade next year because I think our students will demand it, quite honestly, going up. But we're being very thoughtful and deliberate in the training that we're providing for teachers because they first got to be comfortable with the device. Some schools have implemented it in different ways. I think to do a large scale, and some schools have done it because they've had new buildings. Everybody gets it in 1 year. If there's not enough training and support provided for the staff, I think it's far less likely to be a successful model. So that's why we're trying to be very thoughtful and deliberate in this, and control it as tightly as we need to.
And I think the other thing too is that, you know, for those particular reasons that you just stated, all of our students are carrying a device in their pocket that's entirely capable of doing that right now that we don't have any control over.
Right.
So you believe that the majority of the staff is on board and they would be willing to professionally develop to help operate these systems and help teach?
Yes, absolutely, and there have been discussions. I mean, this actually was derived from, the 8th grade pilot was derived from teachers there. So they've been working on it. The 7th grade teachers are ready to dig in. A lot of them actually bring their own iPads in and are using them as part of their instructional practice now. So the plan is, as soon as we get this approval, and with funding, we're going to get those iPads for the 7th grade teachers and the 9th grade and really intensify. Dr. Lozay and Mr. Bouvier have worked and have done some collaboration with Harvard University, the EdTech teacher program that's been quite successful. And actually, I'll be sharing with you at an upcoming meeting that through the Central Mass Readiness Center, we've got some grant money to be able to provide some additional PD around iPads. In fact, 4 different professional development opportunities. So we're in regular communication with the AEA, and I don't anticipate that being an issue at all.
Another question, Shrewsbury and Grafton, which format are they using? Is it the bring your own device or district provided?
They're both using district provided iPads.
Okay.
I actually don't know of a BYOD school in the direct vicinity. The 3 schools that we look at generally as being in our region that are doing this are Uxbridge, which did it as part of a new building project, Grafton, which did it as part of a new building project, and Shrewsbury, which I think initially went in as part of a new building project, but has implemented a model. Oh, actually, Mendon Upton too, we saw them. So again, iPads, district provided. The Shrewsbury model offering tiers where parents can either pay for the device over 3 years, or bring in their own iPad and still have to pay a certain amount of money for apps and the management fee, or pay nothing and they just don't take the device home, which we don't feel is a viable option, as we think that much of the value from these devices is derived from being able to take them home.
One more question.
Sure.
I think one more. What is the total cost going to be when there's an iPad in every set of hands from 7th grade through 12th grade? Well, how much are we going to be into it for at that point, and how long before we have to pay in again?
if we're going to move, we're planning on utilizing some of the new building money at the middle school to help affect those. Sustainability is something we've been very careful to think about as we've gone through this. And we are going to, as we move up to 10th grade, for instance, we're going to have to lease enough new devices to provide them for 10th grade. And up and up. So depending at $499 per student, essentially, roughly 175 to 200 kids per grade level now, right? Is what we're looking at. Now we're hoping that we're going to see some cost savings in areas such as printing and paper and things along those lines that are going to help us, and hopefully eventually textbooks costs will decrease as well. There's no question that this is an expensive proposition, but we believe that it's valuable, and we believe that we can get there. And we believe we have to get there.
I would like to see some numbers and some time frames kind of broken down. Not right this minute, I'm not asking you to go in the other room and calculate it, but at some point I would like to see that in bold print. I know it looks a lot nicer without those numbers, but I would like to see that because these are the questions that are going to come up year after year at town meeting when we're asking for money. That's all I have.
The other thing is you'll be seeing that through the budget too process.
Yeah.
So you'll see that coming up.
Tuesday the 12th, that will be
Yeah.
part of Eric's,
Okay.
Mr. Bouvier's proposal regarding the 375, and can provide some projections in terms of each year thereafter, what we can anticipate for costs. Yes.
You got something, Liz?
Oh, sure. So I'm assuming then that one of the advantages of this is that students can sort of network with each other and collaborate on projects and whatnot. Does that give you the opportunity to, I mean, not the opportunity, but are you able to sort of monitor what's going on between students?
Depending on the methods that they use, I think most of the students will utilize, I truly believe they'll utilize most of the school-based resources for school-based communications, knowing that we've got an eye on them,
Okay, that's
and
what
that
I'm
they
asking.
really wouldn't want to be airing their personal conversations on there, but there's always ways for people to communicate off the grid.
Oh, I understand that. Oh, I understand
But if
that.
we're using, for instance, we utilize Google Docs as a collaborative,
Mm-hmm.
cloud-based environment for kids to collaborate and share, and we have access to all those accounts at any particular time. So if there is an incident, we can grab it. Also, if there's an incident with any particular iPad, we can lock that machine right down, and so that nobody can go in and delete anything until we can get back in. And there's always digital footprints that are left, and that in a lot of cases that if we don't have access to it, our collaboration with the police department can get us access to what we need.
I understand
Yeah.
they've got other devices that they can certainly do that with. I just was curious as to how much control we have with these devices. Also, so you talked some about the teachers using the devices. Will there be an expectation that they will use it for 50% of their class work? It will, I mean, because it's only going to work if all the teachers are using it about the same throughout a grade, right? So it's not really fair to have one classroom where the teacher's using it 75% of the time, and another classroom where they're using it 10% of the time. So will there be those expectations?
You know, yes, there will be, that they will use them. What we have found in the classroom walkthroughs that we do, and Dr. Lizzie and I have been going on quite a few of them together recently, the technology is on, whether it's the Bright Links in classrooms, everywhere that we go. The iPads are being used regularly. The other piece, though, I think, too, for us to remember is this is a tool. It doesn't replace the teacher. So it will be used to a varying degree, depending on what the subject matter is at hand. But I don't think that there is anybody who's utilized these who has not seen the tremendous benefit in increased student engagement. And, you know, some of the other research findings that Mr. Bouvier had pointed out with the Berkshire Wireless. So that certainly is our goal for them to do, so long as we live up to our end of providing them the support and the expectations, and we do the walkthrough. So all of that would be in place.
And then the only other question that I have is, it's kind of, well, two actually. this is kind of a silly one. You were talking about the charge, the life of the battery being like 2 days. What happens if a student comes in and they haven't charged their device?
We plan on having extras available through some of the carts that we have that they could utilize, or they've just plain out forgotten it. They forgot things. We hope to have enough that we can address those issues, or at least let them borrow one while we plug it in for them and let it charge. We have plenty. They all come with a charger, and we have plenty of chargers. And so we'll be able to deal with that.
I have to tell you, this is a no-brainer for me, and I think I agree with the others that, the questions were sort of more curiosity and
Sure.
an informed decision, but it's a no-brainer to me. My last question is, you're bringing this to us tonight, you're asking for a vote on this. Is this so that we will see it in the budget?
Yes.
Or we are
Yeah,
voting that it
that's what it
will
is.
be paid for?
This is for you to
Recommend.
support this recommendation. You've got another layer of support when it comes to the budget. So really just to say, yes, we want to see this in the budget.
Okay. Then I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? One thing I like to just say, I totally agree with this, the way you're moving with this, and I will definitely support it. You did a great job in the presentation, and I think it's good with, George had said something about the contracts and stuff like that, but I think we got very fortunate teachers in Auburn, because when it comes to education, they don't seem to have a big stink about it. They always move forward with us to make it better for our children. And they're good, and you do have problems with other contracts and stuff in other places and stuff, but our teachers seem like they work very well with educating our children with the committee, and I just wanted to say that. And thank you.
You're welcome. And before I go, actually, I'd like to thank everybody that came out. This is part of my committee that helped put this together, so they should be recognized as well. And there are many others that couldn't be here tonight. All of them have their names printed in the back of the report, whether they came to one meeting or everybody that's on that page at the end had a part in putting this together. This was by no means anything that I did on my own. They all played a big role.
Well, we
Well,
thank all of them.
you all.
Thank every one of them.
For your time and effort.
We'll get this
I-
posted to the website too, for everybody to see.
Do you want to mention the people that are here?
Oh, sure.
What they're here?
We have Miss Allie Morrissey. She's a fourth grade teacher over at Pack Charge. Karen Chinette, ELL. What buildings are you at, Karen, now?
Middle school.
Middle school, okay. Phil Campbell, our special ed director, and Dr. Lozay, our curriculum director.
Thank you for
And
coming.
Dr. Brunel was at all the meetings as well as a member of the committee, so she should be recognized for that as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you all very much.
I think, do we have to vote on that?
Yes, you
The
do.
recommendation we do, yeah. We already got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None.
Great.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Now, does the school committee get an iPad as well?
Yeah, some school committees, I will tell you, they've gone completely paperless. They have an iPad that they have, that everything gets emailed to them. They bring it to the meetings, they're able to pull everything up. I think it's something we're definitely looking into. The amount of paper and things it would save on, I think would,
There's your homework, Mr. Bowie.
yes.
Just say the word, I'll have them here in a week.
iPad.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
All right,
Good night,
great,
thank you.
thanks. If you are serious, we would be happy to go that route. I'm sure Mrs. Zodner
was-
would love to not be
I was
making
thinking about that with the
copies all
size of the packets that we have every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Probably not a bad idea.
It'd be very cost effective, so.
Well, maybe
Put it on the next
we
agenda or
ask
something?
for an idea of how much
Mhm.
we do spend a
Mhm.
year
Sure.
on the school committee, and see if that.
Yeah, see if that would make that much of a difference.
Leon, I don't want you playing games on it while we're on.
I don't even know how to use it.
Well, if I can't have if I can't have the games, I'm not doing it. I mean, come on now, George, you're ruining everything.
Terrible. Do you ever see my phone? I got one of
Okay,
these
where we
little
at?
flip phone phones. I can't do anything on it. very far behind when it comes to technology.
So Stand Up to Bullying, we've had a team actually from the high school. We're opening it up to the middle school. Actually, the event is opening it up to them. It'll be held at the DCU Center this year on December 3rd. So Mrs. Lynn Barrett, who has gone before, and she came and presented last year, along with Miss Sarah Cannell from the middle school, they're going to be taking between 16 and 17 students to that event, and they will be coming to a December meeting to update you. So I think it's nice that they're allowing larger groups. It's easier to get some momentum built around it rather than an individual student to come back.
Can I ask a question on that?
Mhm.
Does it cost us to go to this?
No, there's no charge, no entry fee. We just pay the busing to bring them to the DCU and back.
I really thoroughly enjoyed hearing about this last year, and I thought that Ashley Fairbanks, who came in, she was a student that came in and presented, and I really got a lot of information out of it. What I would really like to see, and I don't know what happened at the high school after she came back,
Okay.
but my expectation, if our students are going to be doing this, it's 17 students that I feel should be coming back and really implementing some of those things in the school. I
Right.
think it's a great leadership tool for them. And I would like to hear not just about the day, but some plans on what they're going to do with the information that they collected during that conference. So, I mean, it's a great opportunity for these kids to come back and
Right.
make a difference, so.
I agree,
Good idea.
and that's why we really loved the new format. It's because it's building a team that has some sustainability, because the middle schoolers will be going up to the high school. So I think it's got great potential. We will do that.
Great, thanks.
Through the chair.
Yep. Go.
I think that's a great idea, and I think if they could share it with some of our younger students, possibly put together some presentations in the course of the school year, maybe visit some of the K through 5
Great idea.
programs,
Yep.
and that would also look great on their college resumes.
Right.
I agree.
Great idea. I will be sure and pass those along, both good ideas. Happy to report the John and Abigail Adams Scholars have been announced. We have 47 current seniors from Auburn High who qualified. And just to remind everyone, in order to qualify, a student needs to score at advanced and proficient levels on the grade 10 ELA and mathematics. So at least one needs to be in advanced. They both can be, but one needs to be in advanced. And have a combined score that places them in the top 25% of the graduating class. So what this entitles them to is free tuition waiver for 8 semesters of undergraduate education at a Massachusetts State College or University. So with your approval, Mr. Chair, I'd like to just read the names of these deserving seniors and give them their due recognition. We are having a breakfast for them on Tuesday, November 26th, but just to share.
Go right ahead.
Thank you. Amber Abdurazik, Matthew Amiot, Carrie Estrella, Matthew Bishop, Matt Basalian, Matthew Blaze, James Blash, Ryan Burke, John Byland, Cameron Callahan, Elise Kavanaugh, Erin Collins, Catherine Coughlin, Christopher Cubbage, Tyler Ducharme, Michelle Dufo, Renee Fleming, Louis Gentili, Nicole Grabowski, Liam Gribbins, Catherine Grogan, Adam Gustafson, Claire Hutner, Michael Jankowski, Monica Keith, Natalie Kafaga, Ryan Kozlowski, Matthew Krikorian, Paige LaPearl, Jack Ledger, Raymond Leo, Kelsey Letson, Cassidy McIntyre, Ryan Malachi, Jacqueline Matthews, Jamie McNamara, Ashley Monod, Caitlin Pike, Nicole Plona, Jessica Powers, Alexis Rogie, Khan Sharani, Sandra Sisko, Gabrielle Semidelis, Chantel Stidson, Abigail Westerlin, and Sarah Wilcox. So congratulations to each of them for their due recognition, and we look forward to celebrating with them right before the Thanksgiving break. Amendments to the student physical exams. You've likely read about this in the newspaper or perhaps on TV, and it had garnered quite a bit of discussion with the school committee over the past few years. While schools will still need to calculate body mass index for students in grades 1, 4, 7, and 10, they no longer will be sending home any notification. And we had modified that in Auburn while still meeting the letter of the law, but they're no longer required to report that out to families. So that is a good piece of information. There is a donation that was made to the Mary D. Stone School in the form of a $100 Barnes & Noble gift card from the Rotary Club of Auburn. It's my recommendation that you gratefully accept.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None.
And a letter has gone to the Rotary Club, and also there was a sample letter that went out to all of the John and Abigail Adams recipients. Included is the quarterly report from the Southern Worcester County Educational Collaborative. This is a requirement of the new law, new regulations in terms of collaborative. If you recall, I sit on that board, and it is my recommendation that you accept it as prepared by Mr. Julian McDonnell.
I need a motion?
I'll make the motion.
All in favor?
I just have a quick question.
Sure.
Chair, for me.
Yep.
Dr. Burnell, is there anything in here that you'd like to point out to us? Is there anything highlighted or anything that we should kind of, you know?
Well, what they generally do, I mean, in terms of the number of students, so that's fairly typical. There is a new virtual learning program, Edgenuity. It's on the second paragraph of the backside of the first page. And that actually, we saw a presentation around that, and it has some potential opportunity for us as school districts to take advantage of it. For instance, if a child is out of school due to perhaps home hospitalization or out of school for another reason, we can purchase this at a very reasonable cost to be able to continue their education, which, if you remember, in July 1st of 14, we're going to have an expectation to do that. The other piece, too, is and this actually doesn't highlight it here, but most recently on the October 11th day, when Dr. Lozay had reported, the collaborative did a great job of pulling together and coordinating events among the 11 or 14 towns that make up this collaborative, because we had some of our teachers, PE teachers, that went to Dudley Charlton for a program. We had some music teachers who went to Tantasco. We had some who came to us. So this doesn't address it. It would be in their next report, because this one ended September 30th. But that was a great opportunity. Good thing.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None.
We do have 2 additional bargaining groups who have submitted their letters requesting, both of which contracts will expire in June of 14. So I leave these here for you to have representatives.
Do I have a motion for either?
I make a motion to nominate Wayne Page to serve as the school committee representative on the IA negotiations committee.
I'm already doing one. I'd like to see some other members of the board do something.
I've
I've
worked with this contract before, so I don't mind doing this one.
Okay, I rescind that motion and make a motion to nominate Leanne Gibbrey to serve as school committee representative on the IA negotiations committee.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Got one left, Liz?
Yeah, my problem is that when do these negotiations have to take place? Because I can't take off work for
Right.
this.
Typically, Mr. Laurie actually had worked on the secretary's contract last time, and I think that generally we met because they have staggered start times. I think we probably met at 4 o'clock in the afternoon is what I'm remembering. The IAs, we generally met like at 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah, yeah.
Something along that line.
That good for you, Liz, or is that's not good?
I can't.
Okay, she can't do
it.
And that wouldn't have to be that time, but I'm just saying what we had done in the past. We don't have to establish this other one if you want to wait for when Mr. Laurie is back. There's no rush to get started. In fact, we're going to be meeting again a week from tomorrow.
Well, George, what are you doing?
I'm chairing my own negotiation team.
Oh, yeah.
I don't
Okay.
mind doing it if you can establish that perhaps we could do it in the morning, that I would be willing to do that. So if you could find out the times that they're available,
Okay?
I could do it as long as I was gone by 8. or I could meet at 5:30 at night.
Okay?
Okay, so we'll just put that on hold until our next meeting?
If we could,
Or,
then I could
no,
tell
that's
you
fine.
if that was, if it was possible.
Okay, that's
Okay,
reasonable, we'll
just
get
put it
that
on hold.
information. Yep. Great. Wanted to make you aware, Dr. Lozay participated in the DESE, actually in terms of the next part of the educator evaluation will be the creation of surveys. And she sat on that, they had a meeting last Monday, October 28th, and found it to be professionally stimulating. It's all in draft form, and we actually have volunteered to serve as a pilot district, so that way we can have some input into what these surveys will actually look like, these model instruments. So we'll provide you an update as soon as we know more. Two issues that were actually brought forward to us from the town, and I share them with you here as informational. High school students registering to vote. I understand that at one time, quite a long time ago, this was always coordinated. Ms. Bazinet has agreed to serve as the teacher representative to oversee this. This actually came from the Auburn Board of Election Registrars, and we're happy to coordinate this with them. We think it is a in terms of our own citizenship and exercising our right to vote, and helping students to become registered to do so.
Yeah, through the chair, if I
That's
can just
good.
make a comment. When I was reading the packet beforehand, I was extremely disappointed I didn't realize that this had stopped.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Because at one time, I know Mr. Dufour was
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
coordinating, and I didn't realize that it had gone by the wayside, so I'm really happy to see that this is coming back.
And just to
I agree.
clarify, there was still encouragement around it. It wasn't as formalized as we're looking to reestablish it to be.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
great.
Yep.
That's great.
And then the other piece is through the Mr. Bergman and the TV production students helping to create a promotional video of Auburn. So it'll be a collaboration of TV production with the Economic Development Committee. And this is certainly a real-world experience that our students will have, and will create an end product that I'm sure will be high quality and will save the town money. So I think an example of another nice collaboration that we have with the
great.
town.
Can I, before we go on to the new unfinished business, can I just have a couple things?
Say
First
that
of
again?
all, about the
Oh.
promotional video.
Yep.
Have we ever thought about doing something like that for our schools that we, I mean, when we're trying, when students are deciding to go from 8th grade to the high school and they're deciding what their options are, I know we have a brochure. Have we ever thought about
Yeah.
putting together
We actually have, we have presented at 8th grade transition nights that happen in February, and that will happen again this February. So it's been a promotional video that highlights some of the different programs at the high school. We've probably not brought it here to share, and we can certainly do that. But another piece, actually, Dr. Lozay and I were recently meeting with Mr. Hanfield, and it seems of late, in the newspaper, in the church bulletin, this is the time of year when you're seeing all of the private schools in the area are really promoting what they offer. So, Mr. Hanfield, we've been talking about getting a notification sent out about what we offer here. There's an awful lot, and I mean, potentially looking at a one-to-one program, our AP classes, and all of that. So he actually has put together a draft that we're now looking at, just to try and get out. So rather than wait until February, because some families are thinking about that now, but we have put that together, and actually it's been the TV production students who have done that.
because
Yeah.
I see some of these contests that they have on TV where the students, high schools put together something that really sort of rallies around some
Yeah.
sort of an idea, and they're
Yeah.
so creative,
They are.
and they're so they energize you, and I think that the students could really be very
Yeah.
creative and put something together that really makes you realize the spirit and the educational experience is the whole package
Right.
of what Auburn High
Yeah.
has to offer.
I agree.
Yeah.
And then the only other thing that I wanted to ask you before going on was, do we ever do a survey to find out what students have at home as far as what kind of equipment they have, computers, how comfortable a parent is helping a student with their homework, whether it be on computers or something? Do we ever do surveys like that?
We actually have not for a while. It was back in one of my first years as superintendent. Through the One Call, you can actually take a survey because we wanted to know, what percentage of our students' families had internet access at home. And there were a couple of other questions that had access to a computer to see. And if I recall back then, it was probably about 88%. But we've not done one in a while. And that may have been my first year, so it could even be 6 years ago now. But we certainly could to access that. What we find anecdotally, I can say, is it's a rare occasion for a student in high school or middle school, it does happen, who does not have some sort of a smartphone that has access to the internet and wireless and all of that, but we certainly could.
I don't know if it would be
Yeah.
beneficial or
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
Or even sort of to give a teacher an idea of how much support they have at home. I just can think of a variety of different questions you may be able to ask that could sort of give some insight as to how much more a student may need given what they have at home to work
Mhm.
with. So, I don't know. It's just a thought.
Okay.
It's not something that I'm
It's a
asking
good
you
thought.
Sure.
to do.
Yep.
It's just a thought.
I'll certainly pass it along to the team when we continue our talks around the whole digital piece. All set?
Yep, go ahead.
So the school building master plan team, we have a meeting as does school building committee on November 19th. Both subcommittees continue their work. The existing buildings met again today. Our education subcommittee will meet tomorrow at 1:30 for a walkthrough of the middle school. And once those two reports come, I would anticipate that we'll have some information and perhaps even recommendations to bring forward to you, hopefully at some point in January or February or so. Mr. Ringard has us on a tight timeline, which is great. School Building Committee, we don't have our full committee meeting again until the 19th, but there have been some not really a subcommittee, but meetings looking at kitchen equipment. We had that one on Friday, looking at the FF&E and technology, the furniture, fixtures and equipment, doing another green charrette, as well as the telephone system. The town recently went to a voice over internet program for their telephone system, so we're looking at the potential of that, or with the high school proprietary model that's in place. So look forward to sharing more information with you at upcoming meetings. Another nice spotlight, I think, that will soon shine on the district. I think anytime we do things outside of Auburn and leave a positive impression on others, I think it's something of which we all should be proud. And Sarah Cannell, if you remember, she was here a couple of meetings ago regarding the iPad. Well, I just recently got informed from Mr. Gagnon that she has secured a grant to coordinate, and I've not been familiar with this before now, a TED Talk. Grace Akala, who was a former child soldier from northern Uganda. Ms. Cannell works very closely on the Invisible Children issue with Mrs. Heidemann up at the high school. And she's actually come and spoken to our students before about her struggles and how she has worked to overcome them. So this video will be taped. It's 18 minutes or less, that's the format of these. But there'll also be an art show in the lobby of the event, and then the students will have, it's a week from Friday, a celebratory dance that will follow it. So it's a great feather in Ms. Cannell's cap, and also I think for the middle school and the Auburn Public Schools, quite honestly, in general. So I thank her for doing that.
Does any other members have anything for new business?
I do, and this is very unfair of me.
We're
But I'm gonna ask.
getting used to
I'm gonna
that.
ask anyway.
Okay?
I sincerely want to apologize to the committee and the leadership team that I will not be at the budget meetings next week. I'm going to be out of town. But they're very important, and it's something I really don't want to miss. So if there is a way that maybe, because you could tell Elaine when they're going to be up recorded so that I can at least
Sure.
get and watch them, because I definitely want to see the recordings of them. So
Okay.
if I could ask that somehow I get that information.
Oh, sure.
That
No
would,
problem.
that would be great, so I can
Yeah.
at least, get informed. So again,
Okay.
I do apologize, and please extend that
I will.
to the leadership team as well. Thank you.
Anybody else? No. Okay.
The upcoming events are many. We've got the conference later this week, parent conferences, family literacy nights, and as an additional reminder, we will be observing Veterans Day on Monday, the 11th, and certainly extend our sincere appreciation to all of those veterans who have served to preserve the rights and freedoms that we as Americans enjoy. And it doesn't seem possible that Thanksgiving
I
break is even.
saw that. I'm like, oh my God, the
I looked at the
Thanksgiving
same
break
thing.
is
It's
on
like,
here.
wow.
But it is.
What do we
Yeah.
have, 8 weeks before Christmas?
Something like that. 50 days. Is that what it is? Oh,
What'd you say?
60 days.
50 days,
60
I
days.
think she said. Mm,
Oh, goodness.
yes. That's all in my report.
Okay, business and financial report?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The first piece of paper you have before you is for informational purposes only. There are 3 transfers that I'm informing the committee of. They're relatively small transfers as we continue to refine the operating statement that you have before you, which is the next item on the agenda. I don't know if anybody has any questions about the transfers. The operating statement you see before you is reflective of our spending patterns through October 30th. Both myself, the business staff, and then Dr. Brunel sat down and went through these statements. Happy to report there's nothing out of the ordinary that's occurred, at least in the first 4 months of school spending. We seem to be right on track with many of our expenses, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that anyone from the committee might have.
Anybody have any questions? Okay.
The last thing, Mr. Chair, is just an update on the ProPay MSBA. This is for your information. I met with Mr. Mackin from the Skanska last week to get up to date on both the MSBA and the ProPay system. As you may or may not know, that with MSBA for reimbursement purposes, they have 2 general guidelines, is that a district can only apply for reimbursement once a month, and the expenditures or the reimbursement request has to exceed at least $50,000. So I'm happy to report that during the course of Mr. Didi's departure and my arrival, that those expenditures have not occurred, and that most recently we just warranted some new expenses, and what you see before you is a request that will be going in tomorrow after our architect signs off on the reimbursement request to MSBA for the matching appropriate funds for monies that the town and the district expended during the month of September. And I currently have a schedule set up with Mr. Mackin from Skanska that we will meet on a monthly basis to make sure that we submit timely reimbursement requests to MSBA. Now that the project's starting to move forward, we expect that that'll be a pretty regular occurrence with probably some rather large amounts as the project starts to take shape, so. Anybody has any questions, but
Through the chair, if I may, just
Sure.
one. The item 4, just for my own clarification, total ineligible projected costs?
that was we went into the system and discovered that MSBA had disallowed a submittal for a previous cost because through the budget change process, we'd actually eliminated the budget for that particular line, and we did go in and we requested MSBA to move that invoice into an eligible budget line. It was something that occurred over the summer.
Okay.
I believe it was some environmental testing, and rather than putting it in the design phase, they put it in the project phase. And as course of action, because there was no budget attributed to it, MSBA rejected it. So we've already requested that that invoice be moved to the appropriate line, and it will be reimbursed.
Okay, thank you.
I put that on there so you would ask a question. Anytime you see ineligible, there's going to be a
Yeah.
question to be asked.
Have any other questions? All set with that? We don't need to vote on that, right?
No, it's just an update.
Is that it?
Is that it?
That's it.
I
Make
need
a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye. Good
Opposed?
night.
Good night.
Nobody.